All right, for today's philosophy lexicon entry, I want to talk about... It's not even funny. Not even funny. Okay, great. All right.
It's still running?
It's still running, yes. Yeah, that's okay. Well, it is battery powered. All right. For today's philosophy lexicon entry, I want to talk about the distinction between analytic statements and synthetic statements. This is some standard vocabulary in modern and contemporary epistemology, and you should know what these words mean. To give you some brief definitions, an analytic statement is a statement which is true by the definition of the words used. The meanings of the words used make it true. A classic example is a triangle is three-sided. Three-sidedness is built into the definition of triangle, and so triangle is an analytic statement, true by definition of the words used. Another way of defining an analytic statement would be to describe it as one in which a statement in which the meaning of the predicate is contained in the meaning of the subject. The meaning of the predicate is contained in the meaning of the subject. So if I've understood the subject of the sentence, triangle, I've understood that it contains the predicate, the meaning of the predicate of the sentence, three-sidedness. Another example in that latter definition would be all bachelors are unmarried. Okay, to be a bachelor is to be unmarried. If somebody were married, we wouldn't call him a bachelor. So the subject term contains the definition of the predicate term. Some characteristics of analytic statements. One, the denial of an analytic statement is self-contradictory. If somebody went about claiming that triangles were not three-sided or that not all bachelors were unmarried, they would be contradicting themselves just in their very use of words, or we might suspect that they didn't know what they were talking about. Second characteristic, they have no need of verification by experience. I don't need to take a survey of bachelors to discover whether or not they are unmarried or not. And so they cannot be empirically disproved. Call that a third characteristic. There is no way of disproving by collection of empirical evidence an analytic statement. Either it's true by definition or not true by definition. Experience has nothing to do with it. And the fourth quality of analytic statements is that they are not informative about the world. They don't give us any new information about the world around us. They give us only information about the meanings of their internal parts. That is, an analytic statement really is about itself. It's about the logical or linguistic. It's true by means of the logical or linguistic structure of the statement. So we don't get fresh information about the world from an analytic statement. Okay, we get something more like definitions. Synthetic statement is the other kind of statement, usually contrasted with analytic. A synthetic statement is a statement which describes a state of affairs in the world. It is one in which the predicate adds some meaning to the definition of the subject. An example, this lectern is made of wood, is a synthetic statement because the definition of lectern does not include wooden in the concept of lectern. The predicate adds information, gives you something new, says something new about the subject that hadn't been said by the subject alone. Now, synthetic statements are not true always and everywhere. They're not universally true. They are true only under certain circumstances. This lectern is made of wood is true only under the state of affairs in which this lectern actually is made of wood. If it were made of metal or plastic, that statement would not be true. Okay, so under some states of affairs, synthetic statements are true. Under other states of affairs, they are not. A few characteristics of synthetic statements to round out the entry here. Their denial does not involve self-contradiction. If I were to deny that this lectern is wooden, I might be saying something false, but I wouldn't be saying something self-contradictory. Okay. Second, synthetic statements can be falsified or verified, at least in principle. That is, there is experience that is relevant to the state of affairs that will allow us to decide the truth or falsity of a synthetic statement. And lastly, synthetic statements are informative about the world. They give us new information. You might say they take risks epistemically. They give us they commit us to a certain state of affairs and to the absence of the contradictory state of affairs. Okay. To close this out, I'll mention that historically speaking, the analytic-synthetic distinction is crucial for grasping some of the epistemology of modern philosophers, especially David Hume and Immanuel Kant. And in the 1950s, a philosopher named Quine with a Q, wrote an essay that many contemporary philosophers believe has effectively destroyed the analytic-synthetic distinction. And so you find many late 20th century and contemporary epistemologists avoiding this vocabulary because of this essay by Quine. So that's material for a later course. That's the end of the philosophy lexicon entry for today. Thanks a lot. Bye.